Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. I am still waking up, so bear with me one moment, everybody. Hope you're ready for some wonderful Street Fighter 2 Game Boy. The game runs at like 800 frames per second, so it's going to look a little odd on stream. You may only be able to make out 5 or 6 frames a second. I promise that's just because of the capabilities of the stream, not because of the game. Oh yes, Noodlebox, it is that time. As soon as I get confirmation that I can go ahead and launch the run, we'll get started.
You are good to go whenever you want to give me that countdown for time.
Alright, let me go ahead and get set up. We're going to be using Sagat today. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So this game is pretty straightforward. It's your standard Street Fighter game. Each character that you have the opportunity to play is going to still have access to their moveset. Just some of them will have a few fewer moves than they normally would in, let's say, the Super Nintendo version. And just about every character is viable that I've ever tried to speedrun with. I will say Zangief is probably the weakest. He hits like a tank. He has slow recovery time though, and slow movement. Just about anybody else is completely fine. Oh, Sagat, you didn't know this was Championship Edition? Oh, this is the classiest edition of all. So my strategy with Sagat is just a swarming attack. He has his, that flying knee is a great gap closer. And of course, when you're speedrunning a fighting game, it's important to be able to close the gap as quickly as possible. And because we're playing on the Game Boy, on-screen pixels are going to generate lag, much like any other Game Boy game. So as you can see, when he did that Hadouken right there, it slowed down the game just enough to be noticeable. So I'm going to try to stay away from using projectiles if I can't help it. Just do a little something like that. That went pretty smooth. I don't want to toot my own horn, but that was actually a pretty good fight. Ryu has a tendency to cause issues for you. As you can see, this fight is going a little bit more how I expected it to go. That's another thing about the game. Hey, there we go. That's another thing about the game is it's very heavy RNG. Like sometimes the computer is just going to sit there, you know, waiting to get punched in the face, right? Other times, it's going to be like you're playing on maximum difficulty without even choosing it. Hopefully we don't get flash kicked here. Guile can be a pain too. Pretty much anybody who has a uppercut style attack can give you problems. Guile with his flash kick, Ryu and Ken with the Shoryuken. Especially with my style of jumping a lot, staying airborne, they can just catch you. Thanks, Guile. 1 HP. Sometimes they just want to keep fighting. I guess I can't make the computer give up. I can just encourage it to lay on the ground. So optimally, what I want to do, well, of course, optimally, we want to beat all of our enemies before it hits 90 seconds. But more realistically, for a good time, I'm trying to finish my enemies while they still say, while I'm still in the 80s. 72 here is pretty average. Also, something worth noting, we actually went ahead and did the timing to figure it out. The little community we put together for speedrunning this game anyway. And getting perfect actually costs you time. Weird, right? Because if you don't get hit at the countdown menu at the end, it'll hesitate and say perfect. And it cost, I believe it was right around 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and taking a punch in the face cost no time, except for the recovery frames if you get knocked down like that. Meh. It was an okay fight, especially for Ken. Be a little bit of an annoyance. Come on, Kenneth. There we go. Now, I still say, and people think I'm crazy for this, with Ken's last name being Masters and all, why didn't they give him some type of chokehold or something and call it the Master Lock? Capcom, hire me. My ideas are better. But I guess we just have to settle for the Shoryuken and the Hadouken. How unoriginal. I know you can't tell right now because of the palette I'm using. But if you scroll up on Sagat's shorts there's actually a Pepsi logo. And that just comes with the game even though you purchased it. I'll stop. Blanca can be a pain as well. Sometimes he'll give me the RNG like you just saw where it doesn't really give me much resistance, but the electricity is tough to fight through. If he decides to sit there and spam electricity the whole time, the fight takes way longer than you want it to. I couldn't have asked for a better Blanca. Well, except for the perfect. Maybe we could have taken a little bit of a tap on the chin. You are not a warrior, you are a beginner. Chun-Li. Normally this is a pretty quick one. Get her box into a corner. Start spamming gap closers. That said, she's giving me more problems than I would have expected. She's got a low defense. It's pretty quick, but you can stay on top of her with Sagat. That wasn't bad. It's a known fact. Two Feather, we need you on commentary, man. I can tell you're pretty cheeky. I like it. On the inside of Sagat's logo, we have, or eye patch, we have Pepsi logos. And I say Pepsi specifically. Not really a fan of Coke. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm a fan of Coke when there's no Pepsi available. Otherwise, Pepsi all day. What about the 4D Street Fighters? We don't want to talk about that. I heard in the 4D Street Fighters, Sagat is just a can of Pepsi. And Bison's ginger ale. Nobody likes him. Alright, now we get to fight Mike Tyson, as we were all waiting for. And Tyson's gonna jump and then try to punch me. So I'm gonna jump and throw knees at him, because, you know, it's all about styles, man. Styles make fights. And we're a Muay Thai artist. Tyson can only rely on his punches. So we're just going to put knees on his chin. And just like that, we move on to the second round. That's the only thing I dislike about speedrunning this game is it's so short. And just like that, well, I was trying to be cool and line that up to beating Tyson, so there we go. And just like that, Tyson's out the way, or Balrog's out the way. And we're going to move on to the mirror match, and then it's time for Bison. But I do encourage anybody, please, consider giving this game a run, even if it's just a blind run, and submit it to the leaderboards. I really like having a stacked leaderboard like we do for a game is I don't know, as unsung as this one. It's not a difficult game to pick up. Pick your favorite character, they're all viable, and just go at it. Look at that, double knockdown, but I get back up to the feet. That's exactly how you want it to end too. If we both get knocked down, I jump back up to my feet. We skip the perfect. Skip it flashing perfect on the screen. Green Citadel says also have the Pepsi Man theme. In a perfect world, right? We can only hope. No Vega. There is no Vega in this. No Dalsum either. No E Honda. It's unfortunate, but it's Game Boy, so they had to make concessions to be able to run it at 800 frames per second, which means we had to lose a couple of special moves and a couple of characters. That was a solid Sagat. There was a brief moment where I thought we might be on PB pace. We fell behind though, but it'll still be a good run. Alright, Bison time. He can be a pain, not the hardest guy in the game. Ken Ryu are my least favorite to face. You can tell who the real Sagat is. Eye patch on the left eye. Hey, depends on what angle you're looking at it from. It says every 2D Street Fighter. Come on. Well, Bison wants to make me look foolish. 800 frames per hour. It's per second, get it right. Alright, I was hoping to give y'all a sub 11, but we're going to have to tolerate a sub 1130, let's say. I can still try to spam it in, I guess. Yeah, another perk about, well, not really a perk about this game, but a rewarding part about this game is you have to manage the lag yourself. You can't just mash buttons. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, and time. So I got on my end an 1109. I'm okay with that. Not the best run I've ever done, but certainly far from the worst. The RNG was pretty acceptable there. I'd say that's what I would expect.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. And that's Street Fighter 2 Game Boy. Quick, to the point.
That was, I am very glad that I made sure this made it into our marathon. That's right up there with Balls of Fury as one of the best runs of this marathon so far.
Oh, I appreciate that. I do love the game. It's, honestly, I picked it up because it just didn't get any love, and I played this game a lot growing up. I had the Game Boy cartridge growing up. Well, I still do, but we're playing on emulator, of course, right now. But I had it growing up, played it a bunch, and I realized that there was no leaderboard for it. So I submitted it, we went ahead and got it going. And now, we got about, I think, a dozen runners? I think we got a dozen now. And looking for more, so please, throw your hat.
Alright, so with that, we're going to be going to a slightly longer break. I've got to go to the bathroom, believe it or not. I still have bodily functions. But then...